For better picture quality, adjust tracking control on your VCR.
One of the oldest and best-known stories of all time is Noah's Ark, and it comes to us from the Bible. Long, long ago, there was a time in human history when virtually all of the peoples of the world were either at war, quarreling with each other, or breaking the rules of God in other ways. Law and order had broken down to the point where God became disappointed he had created man in the first place. One man remained obedient to God's wishes. His name was Noah.
What do you mean, old man, that the world's going to be devastated? Who in the world put that nonsense in your head?
God is angry because you have forsaken him.
Forsaken him? Forsaken him, he says.
Please listen to me. Please heed my words. There may still be time. In your hearts you must strive never to tell lies, to steal or quarrel with each other, to do those things which make God angry. You must listen to the word of God.
No more lies?
No more thievery?
Stop our fighting.
Get out of here, old man. Enough of this foolishness. Who do you think you are coming in here like that?
That's right.
Go on. Get out of here.
Please, you must believe me. You must.
Noah led his family from village to village, warning the people of God's anger and pleading with them to mend their ways. But alas, they only laughed at him. Noah tried his best, but his words of warning were soon forgotten by the idolatrous villagers. And then, one day,
oh, what a day. Huh?
Hey, what's going on here? Hey, what's that?
What is it?
It was an ark, a giant ship built by Noah and his family. Noah had been ordered by God to build the ark as a refuge for his family and all of the animals of the world.
What kind of fool would build an ark around here? Oh, there's no water for miles. Oh, it's just the old fool Noah.
What a joke.
Wait. Quiet for a second. Did you hear that? That sound.
Sounds like some kind of music to me. Hey, you see what I see? Elephants!
Answering God's call, a pair of every animal species in the world was parading to Noah's Ark.
The storm is coming up. It's coming up fast. We'd better hurry and seal the door.
Just a minute. I have the feeling we've forgotten something. Oh, well, there's always room for two more. All right, secure the door.
It was the worst storm the world had ever seen. God rained down lightning and thunder for 40 days and 40 nights. And when the rains finally subsided, the entire world was covered with water. For the next 150 days, Noah and his companions were alone on the sea. Finally, the waters began to recede. It was then that Noah released the two crows to look for land. But dry land was nowhere to be found. The ark was down to its last supplies of food.
I'm sorry, but this is all we have for today.
The next morning, the rooster was even too hungry to crow. Things were looking very bad. Noah decided once more to look for land, and this time released the two doves into the sky. But all they could find was one barren patch of mountaintop. Certainly no place for Noah's band to begin a new life. 7 days later, they were completely out of food. Noah once again released the doves and prayed that they would find a place to land. Noah and his family then began the long vigil, waiting for the doves' return.
Look! They're returning!
The doves were returning, and in their beaks they carried olive branches, proof that they had found fertile land, safe to begin their new lives. Noah had placed his faith in God, and his prayers were answered.
We've all been saved! Everyone, look! It's the sun! Hooray! Hooray! Father! Hooray!
Look, we've been saved.
Thank God!
We must give thanks for this second chance to create a new world where all men can live in peace as brothers. For myself, I will keep my pledge to do my best never to anger God again. We must never have to face such hardship and sadness as we have just been through.
And so saying, Noah released the animals onto the land so that they might begin their new lives. It was a joyous time for Noah and his family as they bravely began anew a civilization that continues to the present. For we are all descendants of that wise and holy man.
Today's story is Jack and the Beanstalk, one of the most famous stories in all the world. It comes to us from England. Once upon a time, there lived a young boy named Jack who lived alone with his mother deep in the English countryside. They were very poor, and the only money they had came from the daily sale of their one cow's milk.
Whoa!
That cow was more than a little spoiled. But there wasn't much Jack could do because without it, they would surely starve to death. But then, one day, all of a sudden, the cow stopped giving milk. Whew! What were they to do? Without any milk to sell, they could buy no bread to eat. They had no choice but to take the cow to town and try to sell it. By and by, Jack came upon an old man going the opposite way along the same trail. The old man stopped Jack and showed him a handful of beans that he had taken from his pocket.
With these beans, my son, you can plant a beanstalk that will reach up into the heavens.
Into the heavens? Really?
What do you say, son? How would you like to trade that cow of yours for these magic beans?
Jack didn't know what to do. He didn't want to disobey his mother, but a beanstalk that reached all the way to the heavens should give them enough beans to feed them for a lifetime.
Okay, it's a deal. Let's trade.
But when Jack got home with nothing to show but 5 old beans, his mother was furious.
And here's what I think of your old beans. Oh!
His mother threw the beans out, and now they have nothing to show for selling their old cow.
Huh? Wow, it's a giant beanstalk.
Well, can you believe that? It's just as the old man said. That beanstalk reached high above the clouds. Jack had never been so excited, and he set out at once to climb the beanstalk to see where it might lead. Jack climbed and climbed until he reached the clouds. And when he reached the top of the highest cloud, he was surprised to see a long white road leading off into the distance.
Yippee!
And at the end of the long white path, Jack discovered a giant manor house. Without hesitating, Jack ran up and started banging on the giant door.
There doesn't seem to be anyone at home. That's funny. All the tables and chairs are giant size. I wonder what kind of person lives in this house.
Jack didn't know it, but he had wandered into the house of a giant ogre whose favorite food was to gobble up young English boys.
Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman.
When he had finished stuffing himself, the giant gathered together a hen, a harp, and 3 sacks of gold. In all his life, Jack had never seen so many gold coins. His eyes grew as big as saucers.
Okay, little chicken, make me a rich man.
Jack couldn't believe his eyes, but there was more to come.
Now it's your turn, harp. Play for me.
The harp began to play all by itself, and in no time at all, its sweet melody began to lull the giant to sleep.
Wow. If I take that treasure home to my mother, maybe she'll forgive me for the cow.
So far, so good. Jack might make it.
Hey, be quiet, would you?
Huh? Yeah, someone's stolen my treasure.
Oh, no.
Huh? Hey, come back with my treasure. Come back. If I ever catch you, you'll never forget it. I promise you that. Come back. Come back with my precious harp.
I'll keep away.
Come back here.
Please. Get out of here. Don't come near me. Don't come near me. Keep away. Keep away. I gotta get away. Where shall I go? Oh, no. Help. Help. Help.
When I catch you, you'll be my dinner. You can count on that.
Help. Help. Help.
Hey.
Help. Help.
Hey!
Fortunately, that hole in the clouds wasn't quite big enough for the giant to squeeze through, and Jack was able to get a big head start.
Yeah! Oh. chopping.
Where have you been? You know you haven't done any of your chores today.
Oh, oh no, no. Oh, look. Oh, oh, no.
Yeah!
Oh, no!
Oh, no. Oh. Well, I guess I'll have to do this myself.
Well, I guess that's the end of the big bad ogre. From that day forward, Jack and his mother were able to lead a life full of happiness and joy with the magical hen and the singing harp.
Today's story comes to us from Denmark, and it tells us of responsibility and thanks to those who help us. Long, long ago, there was a tiny little girl born in the petals of a flower. And when full grown, she was no bigger than your thumb. And that is how she got her name, Thumbelina. Thumbelina wore a dress made of flower petals and powdered her nose with the pollen of a cherry blossom. She was truly a child of the flowers. During the day, she would play in her boat made from a tree leaf. And at night, she would tuck herself snugly into her bed, made from a walnut shell. But then, one night...
Rabbit? Oh, what a lovely girl. My, wouldn't she make a fine bride for my son?
Wow, what a beautiful girl.
I knew you'd like her, Ribbit. And I want you two to be married.
Huh? Where am I? Oh!
Hello, dear. I'd like to introduce you, Ribbit, to my son, your husband-to-be.
Husband?
The next day, Mrs. Frog left Thumbelina on a lily pad in the pond so that she could not run away before the wedding. Thumbelina was so sad. She just could not stop crying. The fish in the pond took pity on her and joined together to set her free. Drawn by a butterfly, Thumbelina's lily pad raft drifted farther and farther from the frog pond. This was the first time she had ever seen the world outside, and she was amazed at its beauty. By and by, her raft came to rest near a lovely bed of flowers. There, Thumbelina decided to make her home. She had plenty of nectar to sip and nuts and berries to eat, so it was really quite pleasant. But eventually, summer's warmth gave way to winter's chill. The flowers withered and died, and the berries were soon gone. Thumbelina was left with no home and no food. She had no choice but to search for shelter. Finally, she could go no further. She lay down in the snow. Brr, how cold. Oh, how fortunate. The good and kind Mrs. Mouse had found Thumbelina out in the cold and brought her safely into her snug and warm little den beneath the snow. And that is how Thumbelina began her life with Mrs. Mouse. To repay her for her kindness, Thumbelina worked very hard all winter long, helping Mrs. Mouse with the housework and the cooking. On her part, Mrs. Mouse quickly grew to love Thumbelina, just as though she were her own daughter. It was a good life for both of them, and they were both very happy. But one day, they had a visitor, the mole that lived just down and under the lane.
Huh? It's getting clearer now. Whoa! Yay! I found my wife at last.
Oh, Thumbelina, you're so lucky. He's the richest man around.
Thumbelina didn't know what to do. Of course, the idea of marrying the mole was no more appealing than marrying the frog. But on the other hand, Mrs. Mouse was so happy, she couldn't break her heart. The mole grabbed Thumbelina and started off to show her his home. Of course, he lived at the end of a cold and damp tunnel where no light could filter in at all. For to a mole, nothing is as terrible as sunlight.
Hey, what's going on here? Where'd that come from?
Oh, it's a swallow, and it's hurt.
Well, serves him right. That's what he gets for flying around like a crazy fool. Come on, let's go.
At her first chance, Thumbelina snuck back to the wounded swallow, covered him with straw, and did her best to make him comfortable.
Oh, my poor little swallow.
And soon a wonderful thing happened.
Oh, he's alive! He's alive!
From that day on, Thumbelina did her best to tend his injured wing and nurse him back to health.
Hurry and get well.
And just as the first blossoms of spring were bursting forth, the swallow had recovered enough to take to the skies again. But before leaving, he thanked Thumbelina and vowed to repay her one day for her kindness. But springtime also meant that it was time for her marriage to the mole. Oh, dear. If Thumbelina marries him, she may never see the sun again. The wedding was about to begin.
Oh, what a lovely bride you'll make.
Thumbelina just had to take one last look at the beauty of the outdoors.
It looks like I'll never see sunlight again. Oh, smell that fresh air.
The springtime sun was strong and refreshing, and a cool breeze caressed the thousands of flowers in the meadow. But this may be Thumbelina's last chance to experience these joys. The sun is so warm. How sad.
Why are you crying, Thumbelina?
Thumbelina told the swallow of her promised marriage to the mole.
Where's my bride?
It's Mr. Mole.
Quick, hop up on my back.
But if I run away, I'll hurt Mrs. Mouse's feelings.
But Thumbelina, you've worked hard all winter, and you have more than repaid Mrs. Mouse for her kindness. Quick, let's go now. No time to lose.
Okay.
Come back! Come back! Thumbelina! Oh, the sun! Oh, the sun! Oh!
And so the swallow carried Thumbelina farther and farther away, soaring gracefully through the clouds until they reached the magic land of flowers where she had been born. There she met a handsome flower prince, and they fell in love and lived happily ever after in their magic kingdom. So the next time you see a flower, take a good look inside. You just might find another charming Thumbelina.